Mom transferred her house to me before dying so that my 4 children would have a home, but now my oldest sister is convincing all my siblings I'm trying to scam them. I, 28F, have 6 siblings. Our mom recently passed in November from stage 4 cancer. I had a really great relationship with my mom. We would spend time together, and my 4 children, 5-year-old twins, a 3-year-old, and a 1-year-old, all loved her. I am the youngest of all my siblings. My older siblings didn't prioritize much time with my mom until the last few months when she couldn't do much for herself anymore. I currently live with my boyfriend, 38M, and our 4 children in a 3-bedroom apartment. It's a nice apartment, but of course is not ideal for our large family. Over the summer, while my mom was still very coherent, she signed a transfer on death of her house, 5-bedroom, 3-bath, to me for myself, my boyfriend, and our children to move into. She did the transfer so I wouldn't have to buy the house, as we would not be able to afford a loan for her house. And her house only had less than a year left until it was completely paid off, so we would be able to afford her payments that way. All of my other siblings own their own homes and have plenty of room in their homes for their individual families. I didn't ask my other siblings if they were okay with this, but I didn't see it as their decision or whether they had a say, considering it's our mom's house and she had final say anyway. And like I said, all of my siblings own their own homes anyway. Once my mom passed, she had some medical bills that needed taking care of, so it seemed as though we would need to sell the house to take care of them. After looking into it more, my boyfriend said he would buy the house at just enough to cover the medical bills rather than what it's worth, considering we cannot afford what it's worth, plus my mom had planned on us just moving in and not doing any sort of loan anyway. She had a cash inheritance which she left my oldest sister, Melanie 43F, to split equally among all of my siblings. Since my mom has passed, we have asked Melanie how much is left in the inheritance, as it would be split 7 ways, and she would always kind of dodge the question. She would say she hasn't counted it yet or she's unsure. My mom also had some coins that were worth some money. She had 4 coins worth about $3,200 and a 5th coin worth about $1,200. I only found out about these coins from my other sister, Rochelle 35F, because she told me Melanie thought about giving a coin worth $3,200 to herself, Rochelle, my brother Nick 37M, and myself. The coin worth less to another hand-picked sibling. And then just never telling the last 2 siblings about the coins at all. That really upset me. I understand the coins gain value over time and that's why they didn't want to pawn them for cash to split equally, but that is really unfair, and considering there are not 7 coins, I believe the fairest situation would be to pawn them for cash so everyone could be involved. I suggested that and then never heard anything else about the coins after that. And then one day last week, when I had Rochelle and my niece over for dinner, she dropped a gold coin out of her purse and quickly put it back. I never said anything, but I couldn't believe they decided to kick me out of that inheritance because I stuck up for the 3 siblings that were going to be slighted. Well, flash to a couple days ago, my boyfriend got approved for the loan. I told Melanie about this to keep her in the loop, and her response shocked me. She told me she did not feel comfortable selling the house to my boyfriend. I didn't understand, because selling the house to my boyfriend was just a way for us to keep the house so that my mom's medical bills would get paid. And my mom's wishes were for my family to move into the house. After I got off the phone with Melanie, I called Rochelle to see how she felt, but she couldn't talk right away. Once I was able to talk to Rochelle, it was very clear Melanie had gotten to her first and manipulated the situation. So I texted the group chat with my siblings. Essentially, they all want to sell the house at full value to a stranger so they can receive an inheritance of cash from the house selling. Melanie had very obviously made them believe that my mom only transferred the house into my name so I could take care of selling it and splitting the money with all of my siblings. That wasn't the truth, and I tried telling them that our mom did not do that, but Melanie had manipulated the situation. For context, Melanie is the oldest and all of our siblings can be pretty easily manipulated in a situation when it comes to Melanie. It sounds terrible, but it's true. I can see right through it and tried to say my side, but they are all on Melanie's side. They all want cash from the house, but I want to live in it like my mom had intended. Like I said, my mom transferred the house into my name. So I am going through with selling the house to my boyfriend to pay my mom's medical bills, and so us and our 4 children can live there. My siblings feel like I have scammed them out of an inheritance. But I feel like I found a way to get the medical bills paid so that my family can live there, which is what my mom intended when she was here. So am I the asshole? Update 1. So first I want to say I am so appreciative of all the comments that seemingly are truly looking out for my best interest. My oldest sister, Melanie, had made me believe that the debt needed to be paid from the house, not the cash estate. She would never disclose to us that there was enough to pay off my mom's medical bills. I contacted an estate attorney and ended up speaking with the attorney who was directly handling my mom's medical debts. He told me that there was no need to sell the house right now. That my family could move into it with no worry of paying the medical debt until the future if I ever decided to sell it. So that's what we are going to do. If we ever decide to sell it, which I don't see right now why we would, as finding a 5-bedroom house is really hard to come by, we will split the sale of the house after her medical debts are paid and of course subtract any money we put into it going forward from their portion. I do agree that keeping the deed of the house in my name is the wise decision so that I will always have that security with my children if something were to ever happen between myself and my partner. I really appreciate all of the comments making that aware to me and all of the comments wanting to make sure I seeked out a lawyer. As far as the coins go, I didn't mention them because I was upset I wasn't getting a portion. I understand getting the house is a big deal. I mentioned what was happening with the coins to give an example as to why I don't feel I can trust Melanie. And why I feel like she is not being honest about the money and the estate. Which she wasn't. There is more money than just the coins that she is not being honest about. The deceptiveness is what hurts me. I feel like I am very open and honest with my family and would never try to deceive them. I would rather all conversations, especially with my family, hold integrity. Once I had felt settled and secure with talking to the lawyer, I texted my sibling group chat to let them know what was going on. That the house will stay in my name. Melanie has been manipulating the situation, and once she thought I was selling it to my boyfriend, I knew she would tell all my other siblings that the problem is not that I was keeping the house but that it would no longer be in my name. I can tell she is very angry that she can longer spin the story for her narrative. But this is what my mom had intended in the first place. For myself and my children to have somewhere to live, and she always knew my boyfriend was in our package deal. Melanie still seems mad, but I don't see the problem anymore. I'll keep this post updated if anything else happens to come up. Again, thank you to everyone for the advice. It really helped me out so much and put me in a much more secure position. Update 2. I don't have too much of an update currently, however I don't think I'll have another update again until next week. And I want to keep you guys in the loop of what is going on. Since I have told Melanie that we plan on keeping the house, she has made it her mission, at least how I see it, to do everything in her power to bury me. Melanie is my big sister by 15 years, so I've always trusted what she's said and done. Naively, I guess. Like I've said before, Melanie was my mom's power of attorney. So she made sure my mom's bills got paid toward the end, as that was her responsibility. Once I told Melanie we would be keeping the house, she would tell me she didn't have my mom's account information and withheld all the information I needed to pay her bills. I made all the phone calls and all utilities were easily transferred into my name. However, going to the bank of course was a little more difficult. I can't even make a payment without knowing her account number. Melanie has kept all of my mom's paperwork and refuses to give me that information. So I am currently in the process of waiting for the bank to email me a form to fill out to become a person on her account that can make payments. Then once that hopefully gets accepted, I can apply for assumption of her account. I am hoping all of this goes over well with no bumps. Melanie is very angry with me. I told her I didn't feel like she was being fair in the way she was dividing the estate, and that she continues to change the story to fit her narrative for that day or who she is talking to. I told all of my siblings they could go through my mom's house still if they wanted anything of hers before we donate. Everybody has had a key to my mom's house because we would all go over and help her with anything she needed. Melanie then went through the house to take all of the valuables, collectibles, anything that could be sold for decent money so she could sell it herself and pocket it all. Mind you, I'm not talking about a couple of small trinkets. She took 4 large glass/real wood curio cabinets, 20 collectible cookie jars, at least 100 collectible angels. And she did all of this in one day as soon as she found out I would be keeping the house. So I asked my boyfriend to change the locks. And he did. I'm so glad he did, because I found out that they had been talking about taking the fridge and the stove. Since then, my boyfriend believes that they have been coming over daily to check the trash. They are crazy. Once she found out the locks had been changed, she truly tried to isolate me from my siblings and my dad. They are really the only family I have left. Unfortunately, they are all very easily manipulated. Truthfully, I don't really want to try to reconcile my relationship with them if they are so easily manipulated into cutting me out of their lives. And yes, she manipulated my dad as well. I lost my mom only a month and a half ago, and now in the snap of a finger I've lost everyone else. It's been very hard to deal with, but I truly don't feel as though I'm in the wrong here. Maybe my post seems biased, but I don't feel like I am withholding any information. I also contacted the lawyer who drew up the transfer on death so that I could make an appointment with her to finalize it now that my mom has passed. I also asked her if we could discuss my mom's estate. She then told me that no estate had been filed. I also contacted the probate court in our county to get a hold of my mom's will. And they also told me no will had been documented with them. All of that was Melanie's responsibility. It isn't right. I will definitely come back with an update end of January / beginning of February, as I have an appointment with the lawyer to discuss this next week. Update 3, I think this will be my final update. There are still a few loose ends that need tied, but as long as that goes smoothly, no need for another update past this one. So let's hope for the best. I went to the lawyer to finalize the transfer on death. Everything has been signed as far as the deed is concerned. I spoke to the lawyer regarding Melanie, and she said since Melanie had taken everything out as cash right before my mom passed, the only way to force her to start an estate with it would be to basically take her to court on counts of theft of my mom's money. Which I really do not want to do to my sister. I understand what she has done is wrong, but I also understand I inherited a great asset, so I'm just going to call it a wash. A lot of you said to not split the sale of the house with my siblings if ever decide to sell it. I feel conflicted on this. I'm not sure if I will ever sell it anyway. I have no plans of this for the time being. But if I ever do decide to sell, I will definitely take into consideration what it's currently worth before any renovations, time and money that we put into it going forward, and of course the cash inheritance I'm not receiving. I will have to just assume what everyone is getting right now, because Melanie would not tell me that either. I could ask my siblings, but honestly I don't want to put any more effort into it. I'll just assume the highest possible number without being unreasonable. Their fault for not being honest to begin with. My relationships seem repaired with my siblings and my dad. But they are not the same. There is still some uncomfortability there. Because of course they still have a relationship with Melanie, and I don't feel comfortable being completely open with them like I once had been. I am happy the relationships are at least somewhat repaired though. I know they are just feeling caught in the middle of Melanie and I. They don't believe Melanie would lie, and they don't believe I would lie. And I think because I'm the youngest and Melanie is their older sister, they think I'm confused. Like I said before, Melanie is 15 years older than me. So she was an adult before I had even started school. She's always had more life and school experience up until the last 5 years or so. So, although I feel like I've caught up in the last few years, she will always have that older sister leg up on me when it comes to everyone else. Melanie is also now telling everyone that I need to get a personal loan for the house so that I could buy all of my siblings out. That doesn't even make any sense. I would not be able to get approved for such a large personal loan, and the interest would be outrageous compared to a home loan. It would have made more sense for me to get a home loan to buy the house if I needed to buy everyone out. Home loans are much easier to obtain, the interest is lower than a personal loan, and they will give you a much higher loan for a home loan rather than personal. But I wouldn't have agreed to that anyway, because I would have gotten a home loan for a house that's move-in ready. My mom's house needs a lot of work. My mom put the house in my name for myself and my children to have and move into. When I spoke with the lawyer, she told me that when she sat down with my mom, that my mom knew that there was an option to put the house into all 7 of her children's names, and that would be a way to keep it out of court, and then I could buy my siblings out. But my mom didn't want to do that because she wanted the house in my name so I could move into it with no loan involved, and she knew my siblings wouldn't be getting a payout from it. I understand how that seems hurtful to my siblings, but that's just what happened, and they definitely got a cash, coin, car, valuables to sell inheritance that I'm not a part of. With all of this to say, I think my siblings are conflicted on who is telling the truth, because Melanie spins absolutely everything. I've decided to just be done with any more talk of it. Even if it is to defend myself, it's not worth my mental health over it. I am still in the process with the mortgage company to assume the mortgage, but I'm hoping, since the house is in my name and I am currently the one paying the mortgage, that it's just paperwork and there aren't any hiccups with that. Thank you all for the wonderful advice and kind words through each update. They were all so helpful. I truly wouldn't have gotten to this point without the advice and kind words from you guys. Hopefully there isn't another update after this one. And if the Comfort Level podcast happens to have read all of these, I just want to say I'm a big fan. I listen to you guys daily when I'm tidying up my apartment in the evenings. You all seem to have good heads on your shoulders and think so rationally. It's a calmness I look forward to. Edit to add, I just want to mention that Melanie was the power of attorney which ends at death and was not named the executor. Nobody was. My mom unfortunately did not make a will. She felt like all of us would sort things out fairly. She put Melanie in charge of dividing cash/assets because Melanie is the oldest, and she believed Melanie would be fair about it. At the time, I believed she would be fair about it too. We were both wrong. The lawyer told me that because there is no will and no named executor, if we wanted to start a legal estate, all of the siblings would have to agree to name an executor. But that would then bring me to needing to take Melanie to court for theft of my mom's money, since it's all basically cash and unaccounted for. Yes, she is being unfair, and I do believe stealing. But I will not take my sister to court. I'm just choosing to let it go the best I can. Next story, lost my husband, then fell in love with his best friend who also lost his spouse. Now we're thinking about having a baby together even though my parents don't approve of our relationship. I am a widow. I lost my husband a little over 3 years ago. That's a really long story for another post, but we had been trying to have a baby together before he passed. My best friend, who I'll call Chris, was my husband's best friend. We were good friends when my husband was still here, but we bonded a lot after his passing. Chris is also a widow, although his wife died before I knew him. Having been through what I was going through and also losing his best friend, we really leaned on each other the last few years for love and support. We are best friends now. I don't know what I would do without him. I feel like a huge part of my life is empty. I feel a visceral need to have a baby. I know I sound crazy. When I lost my husband, it also felt like I lost the life we didn't get to have together, like I lost the baby we were trying for and the family we could have been. I want nothing more in life than to be a mother. It's what I've always wanted for myself, something I've always looked forward to. I know there is a big child-free lifestyle community here on Reddit, so this may be difficult to relate to for some, but it's what I want for myself. I'm educated, I'm very successful in my career, I'm financially stable, and I'm ready for the next chapter in my life. I know I could just go to a sperm bank or adopt and raise a baby by myself, but I would really prefer my child have a father. I grew up with the most amazing dad, and I don't want to purposely bring a child into the world without a father that will love him like my dad loved me. I know I could wait around until I meet the right guy, but that isn't something that I'm certain is in the cards for me. Last week, Chris and I got together, had a few drinks, and I opened up to him about how badly I wanted to be a parent, and he shared the same feelings with me. It was so nice to talk about it with someone who I can really relate to, and he feels the exact same way I do, like he is missing a huge part of his life. He said we should have a baby together. He said it half jokingly at first, but it grew from there, and now we're seriously considering it. I know Chris would be an amazing dad. I am trying to look at it objectively, but obviously it's a very emotionally charged topic. As I see it, the worst case scenario is that we share custody of the child, but the child has two parents that love him or her. It's no different than a divorced couple with a kid. We're both well off, we can afford a great lawyer to write up a rock-solid parenting agreement for us. The best case scenario is we raise the child together, as a team. We already practically live together, have the same parenting views and the same morals in general. I could go on forever about why we think it's a good idea. What is your opinion? Am I completely crazy for considering this? Update: after reading everyone's comments, I was feeling really conflicted, so I told Chris I didn't think we could move forward with having a baby together until I knew whether or not we'd ever be together as a couple. He told me he was just waiting for me to be ready, and then we had sex, so I'm ready. I know I said that I felt really guilty when we kissed, but I didn't mention that that was 2 years ago. I expected to still feel guilty, but I don't. I'm just really happy. We've both been off work the last couple days, so we've been spending 100% of our time together. It's so nice being with him. It's been a long time coming. Hey. As for having a baby together, we both still really want to do that, but now we have to figure out how that fits into us having a romantic relationship. The responsible thing would probably be to wait, I don't know, a few years, but it's been really hard to actively prevent against something that we want to happen, so we're not really being as careful as we should be. Any advice? I'm feeling like I can't think straight about it. I can already tell it's going to be hard to take it slow. We live together, we both own our own homes, but he is renting his out right now. I work from home and he only works a couple days a week, so we spend a ton of time together. We were already living like a couple that just didn't have sex, and now we are, so I'm not sure how to take it slow or if we should even bother. Also, I don't know how to tell my parents what's going on, or if I should tell them at all. They don't like that I'm friends with Chris, or any of my husband's other friends, and would be even more upset to know that we're together now. They want me to distance myself as much as possible from my old life, as they call it, and express their disappointment about my failure to do so every time I speak to them. When my husband died, my mom went behind my back and told my in-laws that I requested they keep their distance from me because it makes me depressed to talk to them. Not true, by the way. I felt more depressed not talking to them, and although I found out the truth much later, we barely talk now because we weren't there for each other when we needed to be.